Hey there, Haven Pro. In the previous videos, we've shown you the differences between acute and chronic IAQ events. We've demonstrated some IAQ party tricks that could become powerful sales tools, and we've reviewed how to review acute IAQ events in the Pro Portal. In this video, I'll be showing you what chronic IAQ events look like in the Haven Pro Portal, which are often the best opportunities to discuss equipment upgrades or other services with your customers. When we say chronic, we're referring to an IAQ reading that is elevated above the healthy threshold for a long period of time. In other words, if a home's IAQ ratings stay outside of the healthy thresholds for a few days or more, that's a chronic problem. Chronic IAQ events can be found in all three of the pillars of IAQ: relative humidity, chemicals, and particles. The most common and most straightforward chronic IAQ problem is found in relative humidity, which can be either too high or too low. The general guidance from experts is that a home should stay within 30 to 60% relative humidity to be comfortable, or between 40 to 55% to be healthy. Especially in green grass states, many homes have chronically high humidity problems. Excess condensation on windows, wet spots or stains on walls and ceilings, musty smells, and black spots in bathrooms are all telltale signs that humidity is not being managed properly in that home. But those signs often mean that damage to the home is already being done. So it's best to implement long-term monitoring in your customers' homes before those problems become visible. Homes that have relative humidity levels above 60% for years on end can suffer extensive structural and cosmetic damage, often related to mold and rotting building materials. Occupants in these homes will often develop conditions like asthma or allergies, or those existing conditions will become worse in these environments. Low humidity problems may not seem as serious as high humidity, but chronically low humidity can cause health issues such as dry skin or lips, scratchy throats, sinus problems, bloody noses, and increased chances of getting a cold. Viruses like COVID-19 and bacteria both thrive in low humidity, as shown in many new research publications studying how airborne pathogens spread indoors. Relative humidity under 30% can also suck moisture from building materials in the home, causing warped or split wood, peeling paint, and static charged surfaces. Finding a chronic humidity problem in the Pro Portal is fairly simple. Just open up a customer's home at the default 30-day window and check the daily averages. The target relative humidity range will vary depending on the season and region, but anything consistently above 60% or below 30% is a chronic problem that needs fixing. We've recently released an example of how One Haven Pro recognized a chronically high humidity problem in their home after installing a cam. This led the user to install a whole home dehumidifier that brought the humidity levels back into the healthy range. In another video, we'll explore how to choose the right humidity control strategy depending on a home's unique characteristics. After humidity, the next most common chronic problem is found in total volatile organic compounds, or chemical, events. In our acute video, we explored how our party tricks have created short VOC events that can help you gauge the effectiveness of the home's ventilation strategy. As with humidity, chronic indoor VOC events stay elevated above the healthy thresholds for days at a time and are often caused by some manufactured product that was brought into the home, which is now off-gassing chemicals. New furniture, newly painted walls, new wood, laminate, or carpeted floors, and improperly stored cleaners, solvents, or hobby supplies are the most common sources of chronic VOC problems. An elevated mix of various airborne chemicals can cause eye, nose, and throat irritation, shortness of breath, headaches, fatigue, nausea, dizziness, and skin problems. High airborne chemical concentrations over long periods of time is quite a big risk and can often result in damage to our lungs, liver, kidney, and central nervous system. While there is no clear regulatory standard for indoor VOC levels in North American homes, the Haven IAQ platform sets the fair threshold to 212 parts per billion and the poor threshold to 850 parts per billion, which is similar to some commercial building standards. For the general public, you should be concerned if a home's chemical levels are consistently entering into the poor category. But if your customer has an existing condition like COPD or MCS, you might want to keep the home below even the fair threshold to prevent their health problems from getting any worse. Though it's not always easy to remove the source of a chronic airborne chemical event, the problem still has to be addressed. Source control and mechanical ventilation are the solutions for high chemical levels, which we'll dive into in a future video. Of the three pillars of IAQ, chronic particle events are the least common occurrence, but they can still pose a serious health risk to the home's occupants. Particles that have a size of 2.5 microns or smaller, or PM2.5, are so important to monitor as they are able to travel deep into the lungs and enter the bloodstream. Long-term exposure to airborne particles can cause or worsen asthma, chronic bronchitis, and other cardiovascular problems. It is uncommon for a home to experience chronic particle events, but when it does occur, it's often coming from outside. Dust or smoke from outdoor sources, like busy roadways, industrial plants, dusty fields, or forest fires, are often the cause of chronic indoor particle problems. Similar to VOCs, there are no clear indoor standards for PM 2.5 levels for North American homes, but the Haven IAQ platform has set thresholds based on recommendations for commercial buildings. Our fair threshold for PM 2.5 is about 12 micrograms per cubic meter, and the poor threshold is 33 micrograms per cubic meter. In the Pro Portal, homes with chronic particle problems will almost always be hovering above zero, usually floating in the fair category, with the occasional jump into the poor threshold as well. Finding a home with chronically high particle levels is rare and often means that there's a significant problem that should be addressed immediately to protect the occupant's health. Addressing outdoor sources of particles will require a combination of examining the building envelope, plus the mechanical ventilation and filtration strategy to reduce the infiltration from those outdoor sources. Chronic particle events can also be caused by habitual behaviors of the occupants, such as smoking or vaping, using indoor fireplaces, burning candles or incense, or regularly cooking without a range hood. If a homeowner doesn't want to change their behaviors, they will need an upgrade to their home's filtration equipment, which will likely include new filter media with increased surface area and higher particle capture efficiency rating. In future videos, we'll be taking a deeper dive into making recommendations to your customers to address these chronic IAQ events in each of the pillars of IAQ. In the meantime, we recommend that you slam some cams into your customers' homes. The sooner you start collecting the data, the faster you can produce the proof that leads to more equipment sales and service opportunities.